Hi, this is the mini lesson for how to write a summary paragraph. We're going to start with writing the summary topic sentence. We've done this already when we wrote one for chapter 1, and now we're going to write a summary topic sentence for chapter 3 of A Wrinkle in Time. So I want to remind you that with your chapter 1 notes, you received a worksheet that looks like this. It reminds you of the 3 parts that you are going to need in your topic sentence summary. So first, you're going to identify. Second, you're going to use one of these verbs. And then third, you're going to finish your thought as far as what it is that you're summarizing. So what I want to point out in the identify is that in example 1, you see the story Africa Dream by Eloise Greenfield. The title of the novel, Africa Dream, is in italics. A complete novel or a complete work, when it's typed, will go into italics. If you're handwriting it, you will underline it. And then in example 2, you see chapter 5 in my science book. And notice that chapter 5, which is a part of a bigger work, goes into quotation marks. So when we do ours, you're going to have both. So let's take a look at your notes. On your chapter 3 notes, the second page, we see this burrito fold type method. We're not actually folding the paper. I put it into 3 columns for you. So we have first, you're going to identify the item you'll be summarizing. So in this box, whether you type it or handwrite it, we are all identifying the same thing. Chapter 3, which is part of the book, so it's going to go into quotation marks. And then the title of the novel, which is A Wrinkle in Time. And I encourage you to include the author's name as well, which is Madeleine L'Engle. And you can find that on your cover of your book. Now in this middle column, the next step is to choose a verb, or perhaps you want to finish the thought first and then pick the best verb to go in the middle of that. So think about, what was chapter 3 mostly about? Now there were several details. We had a bunch of different places. We started on the walk home from the haunted house. Then we get home. There's some conversation before dinner. There's some conversation after dinner. And then they go outside and Meg and Calvin find out, they kind of get to know each other better, find out more about father. And then that surprising ending. Overall, what would you say the chapter is about? I don't want every single one of those details in the topic sentence. Overall, what is the chapter about? I want to go back for a second. So up here, you had answered how the central conflict was introduced. Could you use something like that in your topic sentence? I'm going to leave that up to you. So I want to remind you that when you're choosing a strong verb, I think I've given you 2 lists. I think you have this shortened list that's on your paper there, and we see words like tells, lists, provides, describes, explains, compares, gives, shows, and presents. But I'm pretty sure, and I don't have my copies back, so mine is currently not in front of me, you have a longer list that you can use for verbs. One of the ones that comes into mind is introduces. You know, a lot of times we're still in the exposition, and the exposition is when we are introduced to characters, setting, and the conflict. So, you know, pick something along those lines. Now, below that, maybe it shouldn't necessarily say rewrite this sentence, because what you wrote in each of those 3 boxes, is that a complete thought? Read it to yourself. If I wrote chapter 3, A Wrinkle in Time, Madeleine L'Engle, introduces, blah, 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 blah. Does that make sense? Make it so it is a complete thought. You might want to say in chapter 3, but maybe when I say introduces, that in makes it so it's confusing now. So maybe you don't want the word in. Whatever you're choosing to do, when you read that, whatever the sentence is that you wrote down, where you combine those 3 ideas together, make sure it's a complete thought. Another reminder, did you start with a capital letter? And what goes at the end of a sentence? All right, before you start to write your paragraph, you're now going to outline 3 facts from the chapter. So there are 3 little asterisks that's here, the little stars. You're going to pick the 3 main events. So I want you to, these are your yellows, your reason, details, or facts, your RDFs. I want you to think of this. Remember how we watched that, the Showcase Showdown for The Price is Right? And I had said how you need to introduce each piece, one of your showcase. Don't worry about the transition here yet. What's in the showcase? Okay, what are the 3 main details, the showcase pieces that were in this chapter? Doesn't have to be complete sentences here. You're just going to pick out what those 3 are. Okay, that's your planning. Then down below, you're going to use that outline to rewrite the whole paragraph. Once again, think of that Showcase Showdown. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I want to remind you. So the very first sentence, when you write that sentence, that paragraph out, is going to be that sentence you wrote above. That's your burrito fold, identifying those 3 things. Then go to your transition list, which is in your writing strategies packet. 1, 2, 3, the third page in the packet. On the back side of it, you have a list of transition sets. That's what we were looking for in The Price is Right. Remember, first up, now, last. We also had starting with, now, finally. We have those transition ideas to introduce each of the 3 main events of the chapter. But you don't stop there. You have to give your reds. You have to stop and explain. You got to explain what's in the showcase. Make sure we want to buy it. Explain the events of the chapter and make sure we understand it. And then end it. At the end of the Showcase Showdown, he summarized briefly in 1 sentence usually. So in the showcase, you'll have 2 smartphones, a living room set, and a brand new car. But in ours, it's going to be something like this chapter included Meg and Calvin getting to know each other on their walk home, over dinner, and then in the field. Whatever it is that you're going to be summarizing. I hope this makes sense. A lot of times also in a summary paragraph, you don't always have to include that conclusion sentence. Sometimes you can end it with that final or last event of the chapter. But I would like you to get in the habit of remembering to write a conclusion sentence. So for me, this time around, I'm going to ask that you do write one. So let's think, how many sentences should your paragraph be? We're all doing something similar. We're all following the step to writing organization. So you have to have a topic sentence. You have to have 3 details, but each one of those details is also going to have at least 1, if not more, explanation. Remember, you can have lots and lots of reds, but that's your minimum. And then if you have your conclusion sentence, we now have a minimum of 8 sentences for this paragraph. You can have more, but no less. I can't wait to read your paragraphs. Please don't forget sentence structure, capitalization, and periods. And remember those notes I made about what goes into quotation marks and what gets either underlined or in italics. All right, we'll see you soon.